friend. Are you here to learn about 19th century Filipino pirate armor? Thought you might be. So to talk about this armor, we're going to have to talk about the Philippines more broadly to start. And I'll start with the extremely obvious Philippines fact that it's an archipelago. That means it's made up of a bunch of islands. So in pre-colonial Philippines, which is to say prior to the 16th century before the Spanish colonized the archipelago, it was not a unified nation state. In fact, each of these islands was home to a unique group of people with their own culture, kingdom, system of government. The armor we're discussing today was adopted by the Moro people, who are native to this southernmost island here called Mindanao. And while many of these pre-Hispanic cultures did have a very strong warrior culture, the Moro people were unique in that they really specialized in raiding and piracy. Another relevant fact about Moro culture is that it retained really strong ties to Islam even after the Spanish brought Christianity to the Philippines. As early as the 14th century, Muslim traders and missionaries had already established contact with the Philippines, so it's no wonder that we see a really strong Islamic influence in the design of Moro armor. This mail and plate style is signature to Islamic armors throughout the 16th to 18th century, characterized by this lamellar typology where small metal plates are connected together to a larger mail shirt with sometimes riveted, sometimes butted rings. In the slightly earlier Moro armor from the 17th century, you see those influences very strongly, but later armors, such as this 19th century example, you start to see a really fascinating blend of cultures written into the design of the armor. We're still doing that classic mail and plate construction, but you start to see the Spanish influence in this helmet, which looks a lot like a morion. Another really fascinating feature is that these plates are actually made of buffalo horn, and it's pretty rare that we see organic materials used in armor this late. But in the Philippines, many pre-colonial societies used horn, bark, even leather in their armors. So I think this is a fantastic example about how culture can influence the design of objects to create this really unique melange. There were fancy examples that were made in metal as well. This is also from the 19th century and is kind of suspected to be the armor of like a really high social status person. But again, you can see the really interesting European influence, particularly in the helmet, which is of the burgonet typology, and actually has a plume holder, which I think is so cute. Anyways, the Moro people create a really big fuss for the British Empire in the 19th century, where there's a particularly bloody pirate war in the 1840s. Naturally, the British are like, bros, can you just calm down? We're trying to export tea and colonize out here. The British do end up suppressing the Moro pirates, but I think it's absolutely amazing that these guys decked out in buffalo horn armor were causing problems for the empire as late as the 19th century.